Keep my eyes wide on the deals each day.
Good morning, everybody. It is Social Surge. Just waiting to go live on the gram. I'm Mo Regalado, joined by my ride or die, Mr. Hector Regalado, also known as What the Heck. And we have a special guest in studio with us today. We have Mr. Ken Ashley, author of The Prescription and founder of CREi Summit. And we're going to be getting into all of that today. One of the reasons I wanted Ken on the show to talk about The Prescription, because the book came out
March 9th.
And I know Ken and I had discussed the book prior. Like, he called and said, hey, we have some things that are happening. And so we had really talked about like the reason why the book came about. But Ken, I want you to introduce yourself to the Social Surge audience if they don't know who you are, though they should if they're in commercial real estate. And tell them what you do.
Well, first of all, Mo and Hector, thank you for having me here. It's great to be on your air. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller to your show, so I appreciate you having me on. And we've been friends a long time, so it's an honor to be here. Listen, Ken Ashley, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, married to Karen for 34 years now. We have 4 great kids. 2 of the boys are in commercial real estate. I don't know how that happened.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yep. And I work professionally as a tenant rep at Cushman, Wakefield, which means I don't represent buildings. I help companies solve real estate problems, principally in North America, but really occasionally all over the world. And a lot of our clients lease space, so we help advise them when their leases are expiring and they need to expand or contract, et cetera. And I've been at Cushman and Wakefield, the only commercial real estate services firm I really ever wanted to work at, for 30 years. And I've been here, in a commission-only environment. And what that means practically is I wake up unemployed every morning. So we got to figure it out. But I love my profession. I love my team. I love my company. I'm just such a lucky guy. I'm in the best spot in the world.
What got you started in commercial real estate? Like, was this always like a thing? I actually don't know if we've ever even had this. Like, I watched you talk. Have we ever had this question before? Like, what was the impetus to get you started?
I don't think, Mo, you and I have talked about it, but when you're in school and they have career day, you want to be a firefighter, you want to be a police officer. I've actually been both of those things in my life, believe it or not. Yeah. But I bumped into a guy named Brad Smith, whom I've written about in the book, and had lunch with recently. Brad is very successful. And when I saw Brad at a business meeting, he was working on a build-to-suit. I didn't know what that was. It's when you build something for someone that's custom, a building that they design. And he was a tenant rep broker at the time, and he was in a beautiful suit, multi-$1,000 suit, a great tie. He's a tall, lanky guy, and he walked out of the meeting with just the biggest smile on his face. And I said, Brad, why are you so happy? He said, man, it's real estate. It's so great. And he was thinking about the fee that he was going to earn that build a suit. And I said, hey, Brad, can we go to breakfast? And that was the breakfast that changed my life, when he explained this profession to me, which is very opaque, and helping understand what tenant reps do and what the downside, what the upside of the profession is. And a lot of that went into the thinking about creating this book, which I know we'll talk about in just a second, but it was seminal in that breakfast. But Brad Smith helped me. I interviewed with a bunch of companies. Cushman offered me the position, which was one of the great moments of my life. And I went home that night and I told Karen all about it. I talked way too long, probably 30 minutes. And then at the end, she said, I have some news too. And I thought we were going to talk about the social plans for the weekend. And she said, I'm pregnant. So I'd taken a commission-only position. The next morning, I picked up the phone and called my friend Chip Patterson. And for more than 2 years, he let me work for his company, valeting cars until 4 a.m, many nights, to earn some income. So we started from nothing for sure.
I think that's Hector and I have been in similar situations. Andy McQuaid is joining us over on the gram. Good morning, Andy. We were talking with Ken Ashley about the Prescription and CREi Summit and his journey in commercial real estate. We've actually had this conversation where and I don't know if you have this, maybe you don't have this challenge with your children, or your children's friends, but they look at the relationship that you have with your spouse. They look at what you've built and they want it now. And it's just like, you don't understand where we started from. Like, you don't, we were cashing checks on Friday, floating them, because we knew we were getting paid on Monday. So there's a definitely a different mindset. But what I love about what you just said is the fact that you were valeting cars because you knew you had to bring income in. It wasn't, I'm just going to sit here and wait for somebody to knock on my door. Right. And I think that that's a mindset that I don't want to say a lot of this generation is kind of missing, but it's that, and I don't want to give it the moniker of the hustle mentality or the grind mentality, because I don't think it's a hustle or grind mentality. It's you do what you got to do to make ends meet and to provide.
Yeah. Mo, you're right. And I want to say to people that are listening, especially to young people, when I got that job, I was terrified that someone would see me and they would think that I was not successful. And I just want to give you permission to wait tables, to do the side hustle, to wash dishes. And if people see you, it's okay. You're out there busting your butt trying to get ahead. So don't be ashamed of side work as you get going in this business, or really any business. Do what you need to do to provide for you and your family.
Yeah, the start off is always a challenge, right? It doesn't matter what field you go into. It's always at the lowest rank, lowest tier. And there are going to be some financial challenges in the beginning. It doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah, Hector, I agree. And the analogy I use is a flywheel. And if you think about a grist mill in the old days, that was a big stone that they would use in the manufacturing process. And even before we had water power, sometimes we would have laborers start that stone. And it took so much effort to get it going. It took a lot of, just muscle to make it happen. But once that flywheel gets going, you almost can't stop it. And that is true of a commercial real estate services career. Once you get it spinning, it's a beautiful thing.
That's true.
Holly Pennington's joining us over on the gram. Good morning, Holly. And we are talking with Ken Ashley. And you talked about the prescription just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Let's start with the book. And sure. Why did you write the prescription? What did you see that was lacking or missing in information in commercial real estate?
Well, first of all, I can hold it up for you. There it is.
Oh, my book's upstairs. Actually, Hector, you have it.
Yeah, I got it.
And good. Thank you, Hector. And there is also a workbook that goes along with it. I don't know that I thought that anything was missing. I just wanted to tell my story. And I've met with young people for years. Brad Smith reached down the ladder and helped me. And I will spend my entire life repaying him and others that helped me early in my career. And so the way I can honor that communication is by doing things like meeting with young people. And what I would do is a diagnostic to determine if I thought they were right for the industry. If they were, I would give them 6 or 8 things they needed to do. And one day, as a joke, I wrote prescription at the top and I signed it. And I just sort of became a thing and I kept doing it. People liked it. People would come back years later and show me their prescription and say, hey, great, it worked. And I began to think about the things that I was saying to people over and over, and could I have a bigger impact? And as you get, later in your career, you start to think about, I do, about impact and about what you're going to leave in the industry when you've left the industry. So exactly, legacy. So I started to think about writing the book. By the way, it was not ghostwritten and it's not AI. I have to say these things today. It's actually me, 2 years of Saturday mornings writing the book. And it's in 3 sections. The first describes our industry because we compare it a lot to residential, which is an imperfect comparison. In residential, your motive is a place to put your head. Mm-hmm. In commercial, we have a profit motive. Whether you're the tenant or the landlord, you're trying to run your business. The second section is about how to get hired, how to go from sitting on your couch watching Netflix to getting employed at a brokerage. And then the third is from day one going forward, what should you do, in my opinion, to be successful? And there's a workbook, and I am quick to say you don't have to read every word in the book at all. Treat it like a wiki and go to the section that applies to you and develop your own personal battle plan for success.
Ooh, that'd be a great workbook right there. Your personal battle plan for success. There you go. You have your next book ready for you. If someone were to only read one chapter, what chapter would that be?
Well, I got to say, it does depend on where you are in your journey. So if you're just trying to understand if commercial real estate is right for you, the first section is going to be helpful because we talk about the different types of real estate and why people are interested or motivated to be in that kind of real estate. We talk about different jobs and positions. If you've made the decision that you want to enter commercial real estate, that then you can now have an ability to figure out how to navigate and how to build the right relationships. For example, there's a tool in the second section called the meet sheet, where you it's a tool to be able to track who you met with and what you learned from them. And then the third, the success plan, I think is important. Obviously, if you're going to get here, and I know we'll talk more about success in just a minute, you got to have some way to attack it. But to answer your question, I think aligning around maybe the first chapter, which is just explaining the industry, make sure that we're level setting on what we all believe to be true about commercial real estate and why we're here. Why do brokers get paid so much to do what they do? What is the economic bargain? And just to briefly tell you about that, brokers get paid for the deals they don't do. They take an extraordinary risk. They spend years developing relationships. And then when a transaction occurs, that's great. It's nice to get paid for that. But there's so many no's and so many missed deals along the way. So the paradigm is high risk, high reward. And if someone is fine, if you make a living collecting a salary, but there probably is less risk, less reward. I'm not saying that universally, but that's the paradigm. You think about high risk, high reward.
Yeah, I love what you just said about brokers get paid for deals that they don't do, and that is 100%. That is 100% true because you're always working to get the deal closed, and then there's that opportunity that sometimes you miss just because you've been so focused on doing what you're doing. Jennifer Willeen says the CREi Summit is one of the best conferences I've attended, with immediate items to implement regarding social media and lots of great ideas to implement and grow social media long after gone. Also, a huge thank you to Ken Ashley for the prescription, a must read for anyone interested in starting in commercial real estate or transitioning from residential real estate. Now, are you finding that interesting that you're having like almost like resi-mercial people who are trying to transition from residential to commercial real estate contacting you and saying, hey, thank you for this book?
Well, first of all, Jennifer, appreciate the comments very much. That's kind of you. There certainly are people who aspire to transition into commercial real estate. I'm aware of the macroeconomics in residential. High interest rates are causing a tough environment in residential. And I'm actually going to go talk to some residential folks here in a couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to stand in front of them and share some thoughts. But I will say this, I'm not proselytizing for any industry. The riches are in the niches. You can find a niche in any industry. So in resi, for example, maybe you want to be the lake house expert. Maybe you want to be the high net worth, figure it out, build your own house expert. So I don't want to. You can make a lot of money in residential real estate as well. Look at Sirhan, right?
Right.
It's there's always that idea that one industry is better or makes more or over the other one. In reality, it is what you make of it. It really is. There are commercial real estate brokers who are not very successful, but it's kind of hard for a residential, and I think it goes back to the optics. You see more residential brokers than you do. Well, you might see the commercial broker, but you don't know who they are because they're not showing you a home. They're not showing you. They're not in the community constantly talking about a property. They're little low key, but that's all part of it, right? You don't have to be in everybody's face when you're working in commercial.
Well, listen, to my friends in residential, keep on keeping on. And there are multiple ways to be successful over there. Just pick an area and farm and work hard and, do your thing. In commercial, there's so many verticals and so many ways to be successful. Mo and Hector, we've talked a lot about social media because that's where we spend time. And, we'll talk about the CREi Summit, I suppose, in a minute. But if you can make your living in commercial sitting in the men's grill at a club, go do it. I'm not saying that there's any one way to success. And that's one of the beauties of this industry. There's so many ways to be successful.
Yeah. So Hector did residential real estate for almost 2 years. No, a year and a half. It was a year and a half. He actually did really well. He sold 11 houses in that time. And the thing is that the way I positioned him, and yes, I am claiming that, because he did not like social media. So when I talk to clients and they don't want to record, I tell them the story of Hector. And I say, listen, I did social for my husband and he hated doing video, hated it. And he had recorded this video. It took him like 2 hours. It was maybe like a 2-minute video. And he was angry. And I knew he was angry. And he's like, I finally did it. Here you go. And I was like, I'm not posting that. Yeah. And he looked at me and he was like, what do you mean? I worked on it for 2 hours. I said, you're angry because you're recording this. I'm not posting that. I don't want for the first person to see you is you coming across angry because you had to record this video. He's like, oh, fine. I'm never going to record another video again. And then he went back and he took a deep breath and he was like, all right, now let's bring the calm energy to this. But it doesn't matter if you're in commercial, it doesn't matter if you're in residential. When we're talking about social media, we need to take a look at how we're presenting ourselves, right? Which is why I wouldn't put angry Hector on the internet. But talk to me about CREi Summit. And real quick, James Milner's joined us over on the Gram. James was on the show last week. If you missed that one, let's go ahead and you can check back. It's on all the platforms. Now, I've been involved with CREi Summit since since 24. Is it 24? Yeah. As the program coordinator. And then last year we started marketing, and then we're doing marketing again this year. And tell me in the simplest way possible why it's important for people to attend CREi Summit.
Well, your contributions have been amazing, Mo, and to you and Hector, we appreciate very much, leading marketing. We think we have industry-leading marketing for a summit and a meeting, and I'm very proud of the work that you guys are doing. So thank you. So listen, the summit isn't right for everybody, but if you are interested in using digital tools to drive business development, then we're right for you. We are the nexus of that topic. We are the convener. And right now, we're the only place in commercial real estate where people come together to talk about using these digital tools. And there's a cultural imperative you need to know before you come. We have an abundance mentality. And what that means is we share. Now, yes, you're going to keep your client information confidential, of course. But outside of that, I'm happy to be an open book and tell you how I do, what works, what doesn't. And so the concept then is iron sharpens iron. If you get really good practitioners, some of the best in the world, using these tools in the same room and they talk openly, everybody gets better. That rising tide floats all boats. So what you can expect at the summit is your own personal book, your playbook, and your battle plan for Monday morning. You're going to see a buffet of ideas unlike anything you've seen before. You can select 2, 3, 4 of those ideas and implement them in your business development. And my personal goal for people that attend the summit that pull out, they call it in Texas, they whip out their wallet, is that they have a huge ROI, that you can begin to dominate your marketplace in ways that you couldn't have imagined before attending the summit. And I firmly believe that you're successful as others. So, come check it out if you think you're right. if you are totally opposed to using digital and you want to go back to the country club, that is fine by me.
Right.
Okay, no harm.
Yeah, it's the first summit I attended was in 2023. It was in Orlando, which we all, of course, we still all talk about the toilet seats in Orlando, and if you know, you know.
That's the takeaway, huh?
Yeah. No, I was very excited about the toilet seats in Orlando. Okay, they were heated. I've never had a heated toilet seat before. But what I found fascinating is, for me, it was after communicating with a lot of people online. So talking about going from URL to IRL, right? These are people that I had talked with, that I communicated with. We had conversations, whether it was in comments or in DMs, and then having the opportunity to connect with them was so huge for me. And it made me realize that I'm a part of a much larger community. And I think that that is something that probably we don't do. And I'm talking about me in marketing. We don't do a very good job of talking about how beautiful our community is. I know that I can go talk to Aviva. I can talk to James Milner. I can talk to any of the people in our CREi Summit community and say, hey, hey, I have a challenge. I have an issue. Do you have a solution? Or can you help me brainstorm? And they will. And also, I have to reiterate, James said they were magical.
I saw Robin, yeah.
But I love the community that we build, right? Yeah. To me, that is above and beyond anything else. Yes, the tools are great. Yes, the learning's great. Yes, the keynote speakers are fabulous. But it's the actual community where you get that chance to break bread, sit down and have a conversation over coffee, and meet in real life. I think that is probably the most magical thing about the summit. Now, you started the summit right during COVID, right?
Correct. And it was an accident. I didn't mean to. I was making my buddy calls. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Because everybody was terrified. And immediately, within a week of the beginning of that terrible time, I began to realize that, we couldn't buy people red meat and red wine. We couldn't get together and do the traditional things to build relationships. So I decided that I had to pivot pretty quickly. I had been involved in social media, but I had kind of a plan, but I wanted a better plan. So I started studying what other people were doing. And I started with the platform, Twitter. And, Coy Davidson is such the OG and the leader. He and I talked about it. And so I decided to put together a list because there was really not a good source of truth of people that were doing good things in our business in social media at the time. And so I was ready to publish the first list, and the graphic artist said, hey, man, why don't you do a badge? I said, what does that mean? He said, for people that are on your list, make their mom proud, put their picture on there and put their name on there and tell them they're a list maker and email it to them. I'm like, man, that's a pretty good idea. So went on 99 Designs and for $200 got the logo that we use today. And we named it CREi because there was a hashtag then called CRE when we used hashtags. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to make it a little different. So we put I for influence. And I'm aware there's a pejorative today around that term, but we made it lowercase. So we influence servant leadership, influence for good. So we think it's actually a good thing. So CREi was born. The first list came out and we emailed everybody, and they did put it in their social media, and people started scratching their heads a little bit. It's kind of interesting. And then one day in October of 2020, it was a Thursday night. I was drinking a glass of red wine, and I'll never forget it. Coy tweeted, hey, we should get together. And he later said he meant to drink beer, but I heard it differently. And I hired a laid off event planner who is still with us, the amazing Jamie Kramer. And we had the first summit at Lake Tahoe at the Ritz-Carlton, and it was a magical experience. I didn't know, we had forest fires, we had COVID. I didn't know if anybody'd show up. And I told Karen we might get a good shellacking here because I put up a lot of money for the summit. 109 people walked in the room, and it was just an amazing, wonderful experience. And the trust that these people place in the summit and in me and our community is never forgotten. Always appreciated.
So first year was in Tahoe. Second year was in New Orleans.
Correct.
Then third was Orlando.
Right.
And then we had Atlanta.
Yep.
Yeah, we had Atlanta, Palm Desert, and now we're going to be back in Savannah. So so that's going to be exciting. I should say back in Georgia, but Savannah is exciting. I've never been to Savannah. I know Hector spent time at Glencoe. So he's been, obviously we were in Atlanta. Yeah, I get that. But getting to see different parts of Georgia is amazing.
Beautiful.
It looks beautiful from all the pictures that we've been sharing on social. I'm like, this is like what I've seen in movies. And I think that's kind of one of the fun parts, right? Is like, oh, I've seen this in a movie. This is so weird to actually be here. What does a broker walk away with after attending CREi Summit?
Well, first of all, to double click on the Savannah comment, Savannah was the first city in the state of Georgia. It's very historic and beautiful. The venue is the JW Marriott Plant Riverside, which is an amazingly restored. It's in a power plant that's over 100 years old. And you'll see there's some of the industrial stuff is still there. You can actually have a table. You can have dinner at the bottom of an old smokestack. It's an interesting experience. And on the Savannah River, so the venue has a beautiful terrace overlooking the river, and it has pictures of sea captains, paintings of sea captains. So we walked in that room, and immediately the theme came to us. We're going to be pirates. So it's going to be CREi, and eye patches and peg legs. So we'll have a good time. What can a broker expect to walk away from? I think new knowledge in a very fast and evolving world. Yes, we're going to talk about AI, but plenty of other topics too. One of the things that's going to be neat is that our friends at SIOR and SIOR Foundation are sponsors of something called CREi Labs, CRE8 Labs. And so that's designed to replicate what Apple does with their Genius Bar, where you can walk up and if you've got a nettlesome problem, something that's wrong with your tech stack, we'll do our best to answer the questions. There'll be some experts that are there to help you customize. But what I hope you walk away from is, Mo, what you said. First of all, some great etched memories and good experiences and new friends, because that's an important thing. But the plan for you to make some tweaks. And when you hear, for example, I heard Kirby Smart at University of Georgia give a talk, and he talked about top level performance. And he asked the question, in the Olympics, what is the difference between gold, silver, and bronze? It's infinitesimal. And the same is true in commercial real estate. If you're at a shop in commercial real estate and you've got experience, everyone is good at what they do. How do you become gold? How do you become the top of the market? And that's what I hope that you will be able to discover for your own marketplace, for your own practice with ideas from CREi Summit.
So the Creator Lab, Hector and I will actually be part of that crew that will be doing that. Hector will be there talking about websites and automations. I, of course, will be talking about marketing and social media. So if you have those questions and you happen to see us sitting there or standing there, come on by, ask us questions. We're happy to answer and help you find a solution to what is ailing you. So I'm very excited about that. I'll also be speaking. I'll be doing a session with Kyle and Sarah on Google Business Profile and agentic search. So we're actually going to be mixing the two together. It's becoming very obvious that all the AIs are actually pulling content from Google Business Profiles. And if you don't have one, then you need to get one, and we'll talk you and walk you through the entire process for that. So looking forward to sharing some time with Kyle. We have a great time together. What has been one of the biggest success stories to come out of the summit?
Well, there have been a lot, and I really appreciate when people share, when people have transacted, coming out of there. People have started companies, people have shifted companies, and it just warms my heart. When we see successes. I've seen people reinvent themselves coming out of the summit, mid to even last third of their career, come out with a new idea. And I don't know that the summit can fully take credit for someone you know well, but I look at the success of Bob Knackel, and I just am blown away how he started when he was 60 in social media. Is that right, Mo?
Yep, 60.
And everyone listening to this knows of Bob, and he famously says it doesn't matter who you know, it matters who knows you. And I watch Bob, and I'm in awe for a lot of reasons, but one of them is the courage of someone at 60 years old to be so public and telling his story. And by the way, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Bob is very authentic in his social media. And so that gives me heart as I talk in social media. And I hope it gives you, the listener, heart too, because a lot of people are concerned about the negative implications of social media. And we do need to be aware of those. We do need to watch out for that. But I would say if you stick down the middle to whatever your messaging is in your market, and maybe potentially stay out of talking about politics and other things that we as professionals maybe don't want to talk about, I think it's a great outlet to help shine light on you and your market and your career. But to answer your question, I just love BK and what he's accomplished.
So Bob is one of those special cases where he was creating content before content was a thing, right? Yeah. Constantly creating content and putting himself out there for that market share, that market presence. And really a case study should be done on just that alone, to see how it grew in the 80s, the 90s. And then as we come into the digital age, they weren't doing he wasn't doing anything. He had accounts on social. They posted like maybe once every 6 months. It was very sporadic. There was no strategy behind it. And so then being able to sit down with him and talk about just his story and the different things that he's done, it became apparent to me that like, wow, this could be really cool. And he's a master craftsman when it comes to storytelling, just a very, very great storyteller. And so that makes it fun. The other thing that makes it fun with BK is the fact that he's coachable. I can say, hey, let's go try this. And he's like, okay, let's do it. If it flops, it flops. If it goes, it goes. We keep doing it. Right. Like he's so open to the idea of being out there in front of the camera, on the stage. And he's comfortable with that. Good morning, Russell Candell. Thanks for joining us. Before we go, because I know we're coming up on time, let's talk about the future of brokerage really quickly. What do you think? What skills are going to matter the most over the next decade?
Oh, well, I don't think one thing changes. You have to be brilliant on the basics. You still have to do the work. The analogy is if you're going to be a chef, you still got to do food prep. Elon Musk calls it doing your business chores. There are some things that only you can do at work, and you're going to have to continue to do those. And I had breakfast with a real estate director this morning. We're both worried about people becoming intellectually lazy because of AI. So still have to be able to help advise people. We get paid the most when we're advising in high stakes transactions, and when we help people avoid a CLM. And a CLM is a career limiting move. So we specialize in avoiding CLMs, and we've taken the tests that hundreds and thousands of times. So on this transaction, maybe we ought to go here as opposed to there. So I think those are skills that are going to be important. And I look at digital tools to some extent as the icing on the cake. We still have to make the cake. So I think that's going to be important going forward. But then also, I think our job, I look at myself in the mirror, my job is very, very important to eliminate low payback activities in my life. And the analogy that I would use, give me an artist, Mo or Hector, who's a performer you like today.
We'll go with Taylor Swift, since we were talking about Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Taylor Swift. So when Taylor performs, she's so wonderful. My daughters love Taylor. I think she's really, really good at what she does. She's entertaining. So that's the high payback activity that Taylor does. What she doesn't do, sorry, should have turned that off. What she doesn't do is sweep up after the show, sell tickets, or sell merch. And so professionally in your life, getting rid of the low payback activities. And there are some things and some tools. If you understand Excel, now we have the ability to create analytics without putting a number in every cell. And so that's a real journey for me, is to figure out during the day how I can do the most important things for longer. And I think that's how the digital journey will evolve.
Yeah, and everybody should understand by now that it's a tool, right? But it has to be observed. It has to be checked on every single step of the way. You can't rely on one thing and expect it to have the perfect outcome. That's where the broker comes in. That's where that skill set needs to be maintained.
That's right, Hector. And I really maintain, and at least for right now, I think I'm right, that AI will not replace commercial real estate brokers on anything but the smallest of transactions. If you want to go to your favorite data provider and find your 2,500 square foot space, God bless you, go ahead. But that's frankly the Waffle House of real estate, and I want to operate in the nice Italian restaurant.
Hey, Waffle House. That's great at 1 o'clock in the morning. Ben Nolte over on the gram says that was Taylor calling you, Ken, to say thanks for the shout out.
Taylor, I'll get back to you.
Good morning to Joseph Gonzalez, who's joined us over on the gram. All right. Right before we go, I know you've talked about this on X, and so I hope we're going to get the answer that I'm hoping for. But what is the most underrated brokerage skill?
Follow-up. The fortune is in the follow-up. When you call on someone in a business development environment and you have a great meeting and you think you've done your work and they're going to remember you, you're not. I mean, they're busy people. They got a million things going on. All of your competitors are calling them. So one of the basic business skills you can do, it's like stretching, is follow-up. Follow up consistently. Follow up 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. And I tell you from personal experience, people call on me for, sell a suit or investments or whatever. It's very noticeable when people follow up 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I've been in, major account sales for 35 years, and I know a thing or two about the craft, and I can see good salespeople at work. And so follow up, and then the ability to recall previous conversations, which you can dictate after the meeting and go back and use your notes to check. But if people will simply have a good memory, and then finally, you asked for 1, but I'll give you 3. The ability to be a good conversationalist really is about asking the right questions of the other person. And people will spend an hour, and if you can ask enough questions and spend approximately 75% of the time talking about them and their life and their career, you're a brilliant conversationalist. Just let them talk and be a good listener.
That is one of the best things that I ever learned from sales is getting people to talk about themselves. They'll think it's the best conversation in the world, and you will learn so much about them. One of the things you've written on Twitter that I really appreciated is when you go to, I believe it, I'm paraphrasing now. This is not word for word, but when you go to like a business lunch or business dinner, ask questions and then shut up.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
All right, Ken, where can people find the prescription?
So the website is theprescription.pro, as in professional, theprescription.pro. On there are free videos. There's a pharmacy with some free tools. We'll be adding more tools. You can buy 3 things there: the book itself, the workbook, and then an audible version of the book if you want to listen to it that way. So theprescription.pro.
theprescription.pro. And then CREi Summit, we have some stuff coming up. If you want to make the Instagram list, we are taking nominations, actually submissions. I don't want to say nominations, submissions, through the end of the month at CREisummit.com. Tickets are going really well. So, and we do try to keep this intimate, I should say. So if you want to make sure that you're on the list for that, again, CREisummit.com is where you want to go to get those. The X list and the retweet list will be coming out momentarily. They'll be coming out soon. So people will find out who's on which list. The X list is for brokers. The retweet list is for developers. So we're trying to make that distinction there. And of course, then we still have the podcast list. Marcy says, if you have the privilege of meeting with them in their office, look around. You learn so much about what's important to your client by what's on the walls and on their desks. And then Andy McQuaid over on the gram said active listening is a vastly underrated skill and it takes practice, especially if you have ADHD like me. So the prescription.pro is where you can get the prescription. And then CREiSummit.com is where you can find out more about the summit. We are going to be in Savannah, Georgia, September 23rd through the 25th. Hope you guys can join us. I'd absolutely love for you to be there. And Ken.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on this morning. I appreciate you taking the time with us.
Thank you as well. I've enjoyed it.
I appreciate your friendship.
Likewise, my friend. Appreciate both of you. And as I said at the top, everything you guys do, but also just being genuinely good people. It's a pleasure to spend time with you.
Don't tell anybody.
I'm going to tell the world.
We'll be back here on Thursday, everyone. Have a great day.